Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Well. I was born ready is truly the star of the sport. He's the rock star, Canelo Alvarez. So I want to read some information to you guys. This is from Lance Pugmire with the Los Angeles Times. And he says in a tweet, early pay-per-view report shows Gennady Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs fight had buys ranging from 130,000 to 150,000 according to an industry source. So, I mean, Lance Pugmire with the Los Angeles Times, he's pretty plugged in. And this is the number we have to go off. This is the only thing I've heard. Obviously, they still probably have to do some more tallies, but that's what he's saying, 130 to 150. That's the early forecast. He goes on to say, the Golovkin camp says the final tally of pay-per-view buys will be higher than 150. Nothing on record from HBO yet. We do know the gate revenue at Madison Square Garden was 3.7 million, higher than the 2 million for Golovkin versus Lemieux. That Triple G boxing merchandise sponsors also higher, right? And I want to work with these numbers because these are the only numbers that we really have to go off of. And it's disappointing that 130 to 150 for a good fight, because I was there live, you know what I mean? I forked over the cash to go over to the fight, to fly to the fight, hotel expenses, food, lodging, all that stuff. And it was a good fight. It was a meaningful fight for the division. So I really wanted it to do higher numbers than this. And of course they can tally some more and stuff, and but the bottom line is if you get the early forecast, it's usually not night and day, you know what I mean, unless something's up. But for example, let's say Cotto Canelo, that did just under 1 million buys. I guarantee you the early prediction and the early forecast didn't show 130 to 150,000, and then they tallied some more and then just jumped up and skyrocketed to 920,000 or whatever it did, right? So these are pretty solid number. Again, it's not in stone. They're gonna probably inflate it, who knows, whatever. But it's trust me, I don't think it's not gonna jump up dramatically like hundreds of thousands. I don't think it'll be that inaccurate from what I've seen in the past in boxing. But I will do an updated video when the official numbers come out, if they even do come out. And I want to talk about this. Like I said, like you see in the title, Canelo Alvarez, that's it. I mean, there's nothing you can say. He's the biggest star. You know what I mean? He's a bigger star than Golovkin. So a lot of people complain about the flat rate, the $15 million, but in all actuality, Golovkin is doing a great job of entertaining, and he's doing a good job of putting asses in seats at venues. He did good on the East Coast, on the West Coast, even in the UK in his UK fight with Kell Brook. But it's not translating to pay-per-view sales. And ultimately, I think that's a big part of the equation, because every single known pay-per-view star that I know, or known boxing star, superstar, they generated good numbers. Even in the UFC, like Conor McGregor, he's doing good numbers. His cards are doing good, million plus. And I'll keep it to boxing just because UFC is a little bit different fan base, different demographic of fans maybe. But even with boxing, everybody from Oscar De La Hoya to Floyd Mayweather to Manny Pacquiao, even Miguel Cotto when he was a pay-per-view star. Now, you could argue that maybe it's the timing when those guys were coming up. Streaming wasn't so readily available, things of that sort. But still, I mean, the only thing we have to go off of is what we have, the data we have, the information that we have. And honestly, based on Golovkin's style, based on how meaningful the Jacobs fight was, and based on the push that he's received from his vehicle, HBO, you want to see higher numbers than this. And that's just a fact. They're putting a lot of emphasis. People are talking about Canelo versus Golovkin. HBO they even made they did the 24/7 on this. So, and not even just that, just the HBO commentary. They seem like they really enjoy and really like Gennady Golovkin. Like, he can do no wrong almost. So to have that type of push and still do these numbers, it's I wouldn't say these are strong numbers, and Canelo's clearly the A side. Now, some people say, oh, but what about Danny Jacobs? Daniel Jacobs, we know he's even talked about this in the past. He feels like he should be a bigger star than what he is or whatnot. And he's a visiting fighter. He's not the HBO network fighter. He's an Al Heyman fighter who came over because the fans thought he was scared and he wanted to fight, and he felt he could beat him. And in my opinion, he did beat Golovkin. And a lot of people agree with that sentiment. And he's the, if you will, the visiting fighter. Plus, we know he's not the one being pushed. Like, he hasn't had the same push as Golovkin. Golovkin's supposed to be this guy who deserves more than $15 million, not Jacobs. Nobody said Jacobs versus Canelo, and he deserves a percentage, not $15 million plus a small back end fee, pay-per-view percentage or whatever. So that's why I'm talking about Golovkin, even though it's two people in the fight and it takes two people to sell a fight. I don't know. I just expected this to be even greater. But to further talk about what I'm saying about Canelo being the A side, Lance Pugmire saying the live gate was 3.7 million, which was higher than 2 million sold for the Golovkin Jacobs. But Canelo in Texas, when he fought Liam Smith, which was a dreadful fight, nobody was really checking for that fight like that. I mean, us boxing fans, we just put up with occasional Danny Garcia, Rod Salka, because it's boxing, something to talk about, and Canelo's a star. But Canelo versus Liam Smith in Texas did a live gate of $5 million. $5 million. And Golovkin did 3.7. So how does that, you know what I'm saying? There's no way you can make that math make sense and say Canelo isn't the A side, right? Just to give you more of a indication, Canelo versus Amir Khan did a 7.4 million live gate, 7.4, and Golovkin did 3.7. So no way, any way you slice it, Golovkin is the B side to Canelo. I mean, versus other guys, he's probably the A side, but he's clearly the A side. And it's at the point I just want to see the fight, and if he really wants to fight, maybe he should take the $15 million. It's clearly more than what he's producing, you know what I mean? And even with that, if the numbers trend like this, which they probably wouldn't for Canelo Golovkin, but if they did, then they would end up losing money paying Golovkin that much money. You know what I'm saying? Because they still got to pay Canelo whatever he's getting, which would be more than that. But I think that fight would do well because the people have wanted it. And usually the fights that people are really requesting with two big names usually will do good if they've been on pay-per-view before. Now, that's the other thing. And I noticed this. A lot of, like, sensitive, like, radical Golovkin fans, they keep bringing up other fights. Like, I'm like, hey, I think Jacobs won. Here's why. And, no! What about Warren Kovalev? Why aren't you talking about that? Like, why do... If I'm covering a fight live from New York, right, and it just happened, why would I be talking about a fight with Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev that I covered also in a different state in Las Vegas last November in a different year, 2016? See how stupid that sounds? Like, do you go to your local news station and then send them an email and be like, no, why are you talking about this weather this week? Why are you talking about the blizzard in New York? Talk about Hurricane Katrina. Talk about El Nino. Why the fuck would they talk about something that happened 5 years ago, unless they were using it as like an analogy as it pertained, like this is a worse storm than El Nino, you know what I mean? But other than that, why would they be making a segment on something that's already happened, something that's already transpired? Ward Kovalev, what does that have to do with Golovkin versus Jacobs at all? Like, what is the parallel? Virgil Hunter gym that Jacobs was training at? Is that the only, like, is that the common denominator? Some of you guys are maniacs talking about, oh, what about Ward Kovalev? But speaking of Ward Kovalev, the Ward Kovalev fight did a live gate of 3.3 million. Golovkin versus Jacobs did 3.7 million. But this is the big difference. Although Golovkin versus Jacobs did the higher live gate, 3.7 versus 3.3 million. I mean, obviously it's easy to see. You have to add in two factors. One, neither Ward nor Kovalev have gotten the press from HBO like Golovkin has got. and neither of them had been on HBO pay-per-view before. Neither of them had been on pay-per-view. Golovkin, this is his second outing as a pay-per-view star, plus he's getting a very significant push. He has the endorsement deals from Hublot, Team Jordan, and like I said earlier, HBO are putting and investing a lot of energy to the point where they actually seem like they're put it all on Canelo. Like, even if you watch Max Kellerman on First Take, who works with HBO, they seem like they're trying to put everything on Canelo, and they're kind of on the Triple G side of things, on the fight happening and the logistics or whatever. But that's one big difference. Neither Kovalev or Ward had been on pay-per-view before as a main event. Triple G has. Plus, he's getting that big push. And the other big difference is Ward versus Kovalev did just over 10,000 tickets. It was like 10,066 tickets. Versus this Golovkin fight did like 19,000, which is almost double. So why would the live gates even be close when you've outsold by nearly 10,000 the amount of seats in terms of your fight versus Ward Kovalev? So to me, when you put the math together, I don't know if you guys follow me, Ward Kovalev did 3.3 million live gate with 10,000 tickets sold. Golovkin did 3.7 million live gate with 19,000 tickets sold. So still underperforming versus, like I said, Canelo versus Khan did 7.4 million. So obviously the fanfare is there. People are buying merchandise and everything else that tallies into the live gates. So that's just my thoughts. Canelo truly is, without a shadow of a doubt. I knew this before, but I mean, this is just concrete proof. I don't know what else proof you guys would want at this point. Canelo, even in Mexico, I don't even remember the number, but he did like 10 million homes or something crazy in Mexico. It was on free, but still, they tuned into the Liam Smith fight. That wasn't even a fight people cared about. And he's still doing strong numbers for, so it shows you his star power is there. Everything they've tried to make Golovkin out to be, the knockout machine and an equivalent pay-per-view star, he's not quite there. He's a great fighter, a good fighter, but he's not quite there in terms of how they're making him sound. Like, oh, he deserves more than the 15 million. I mean, how? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I mean, honestly, I don't understand why all of a sudden Golden Boy wants a percentage split, but I can't say that the offer is not fair when he's doing good numbers. 19,000, that's a good crowd. I was at his fight with Dominic Wade that did 16,000. He's doing good crowds, but it's not translating to pay-per-view success. And the fight that one of the fights in recent memory people absolutely hated was Mayweather versus Berto. And I didn't hear one good thing about this. At least with the Jacobs fight, people really were looking forward to it from what I seen. Same thing with David Lemieux. Yet David Lemieux fight is doing 96 to 150,000 with a 2 million live gate, and then this fight is doing 130 to, let's say, 185,000 once it's finally tallied with a 3.7 million live gate. You know what I mean? Mayweather, look at Mayweather versus Berto live gates and fights that you didn't even, Mayweather Maidana live gates. You know what I mean? I guarantee you it's better than this, and I haven't even done the research for this video on those particular fights, but I know that is better. And Mayweather Berto, the numbers it did were better. It was like, what, 425,000 to 500 or something thousand or whatever. Mayweather Maidana 2 did almost 1 million. It was like 800,000 and change. Even Pacquiao versus Bradley, which weren't deemed good numbers, I believe had better numbers than this, the third fight. And I really didn't want to see that fight. So it's still showing you the star power with Golovkin is not as advertised what HBO is making it out to be. In my opinion, I don't understand the flat rate. I mean, if they can get a percentage that works for Golovkin, I just want to see the fight. However, I can't say with these continued numbers, I can't say that 15 million is a joke of an offer like some people are saying in the comment section. I really don't see that, because you have to be able to generate revenue in order to ask for more. Like Conor McGregor, let's say he demands more from Dana White and UFC, like, no, I want this. Like, I'm generating all this much money. People are really tuning in to the build-ups and stuff because of me, because I'm there and because of what I'm saying and my quotes and me throwing water bottles and Monster energy drinks and stuff, that's what's getting people geared up to purchase the fights. So neither Canelo or Golovkin, in my opinion, are really doing that Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather type of showmanship, which hypes up the fight. Golovkin's pretty chill, Canelo's pretty chill, and they just work on their craft. That's it. So, you know what I mean? If you're not doing that, then your numbers still have to be good based on your star power and what else you do. And to me, Golovkin has underperformed pay-per-view wise. Again, putting asses in the seats, he's doing a good job at that. Putting on good fights, entertaining fights, he's doing a good job at that. But again, for whatever reason, it's not translating to the ultimate, which is the pay-per-view success. And you could say it's streaming and whatever, but why? Again, streaming was out when Mayweather-Berto was out, when Pacquiao-Bradley 3 was out, when Canelo versus Liam Smith, which also did higher pay-per-view numbers, was out, right? So how are they getting even higher numbers? You know what I mean? And Liam Smith is lesser known as far as I didn't even know who the fuck I didn't even know he was related to Paul Smith, and I've covered Paul Smith fight versus Andre Ward. I didn't even know he's part of that family. Smith is a common name. You know what I mean? I didn't know really much about Liam Smith. So you can't say it's because of Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs knocked out Peter Quillen. He was a formidable opponent. He got good viewership on the networks like Showtime, the PBC networks and stuff like that, and he was a champion. He had a version of the belt. So if Canelo can you have a guy like Liam Smith and carry the slack and still produce better numbers, then that's what happens. You know what I mean? Mayweather is a bigger star than Maidana, and they did decent numbers together. You know what I mean? Robert Guerrero. Mayweather didn't even do a press tour with Robert Guerrero, still did better numbers than that. He didn't even really tour and promote the fight with Robert Guerrero. So you mean to tell me a fight that had a press tour like Golovkin-Jacobs, if Golovkin is the star that they said, then it should have been higher. That's just how I see it. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.